Hello and welcome to Wisdom Trek. This is Guthrie Chamberlain, and I'm your guide to wisdom and creating a living legacy. Thank you for joining us for our 7-day-a-week, 7 Minutes of Wisdom podcast. This is day 116 of our trek, and yesterday we explored the attributes of a person that achieves results. The opposite of results is excuses. All of us fall victim to making excuses in most areas of our life, and over the next 3 days, we will look at some of the reasons we make excuses, the type of excuses that we do make, and how we can eliminate excuses in our lives forever. So please make sure that you listen to all 3 episodes to get the entire scope of the lesson. In celebration of our 100th day of Wisdom Trek, please check out wisdom-trek.com and sign up for our free Wisdom Trek t-shirt drawing that will be taking place on October 5th. We'll be giving away 7 Wisdom Trek t-shirts. We are recording our podcast from our studios at Home 2 in Charlotte, North Carolina today. The day seemed just to fly by, as most days do. I was able to accomplish some of the tasks that needed completed, but there are some left for another day. I was interviewed for a podcast by a businessman in Australia today, and the interview was quite extensive, took almost an hour. It will not air until either November or December, since this is a new podcast and he's just getting ready to launch. I'll keep you informed as new episodes are released, where I have had the privilege of being interviewed. We should be able to announce several more podcast interviews that I participated in, which will be released over the next few weeks. Many of the discussions that we have on these interviews take me back throughout the trek of my life. And while we have had our share of valleys that we have trekked through, we have also experienced some glorious summits along our way. It would be easy to gloss over some of these valleys and make excuses, but the realization is that we all have choices that we make, and the choices we made during those times were choices based on our experience and knowledgement that we had at that time. It's so easy to fall into the habit of making excuses when our trek of life does not turn out like we desire. So over the next 3 days of our trek, we will examine in detail the subject of excuses. So let's put all of our excuses aside for today and head out on our trail. One quote from a very wise man, Benjamin Franklin, is, "He that is good for making excuses is seldom good for anything else." Let us not fall victim to this type of person. But do you ever catch yourself making excuses when things don't turn out as you had expected? Have you ever neglected taking responsibility for events and circumstances in your life? Or have you ever tried to explain away why you didn't, couldn't, shouldn't, or simply wouldn't do something? These are all subtle signs that indicate we are living a life of excuses, which prevent you from living to your full potential, which, as Jesus put it, living a rich and satisfying life. So we want to look at 3 points today. The first one is, what are excuses? Excuses are the rationalization that we make to ourselves about people, events, and circumstances. They are invented reasons that we create to defend our behavior, to neglect taking a particular kind of action, or simply a means of negating responsibility. Excuses are, in essence, a means of placing blame of an internal problem on an external condition. Point number 2, reasons that we make excuses. There are many reasons why people make excuses. In fact, everyone has different reasons for making them. However, when it all boils down, all excuses are based on fear. We only make excuses for the following main reasons: fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of success, fear of change, fear of uncertainty, fear of responsibility, fear of making mistakes, and fears based on a perceived lack of confidence or resources. To eliminate excuses from our lives, we must first look at eliminating all traces of fear. We need to reduce and, as much as possible, eliminate all false fears in our life. For the Apostle Paul wrote in his second letter to Timothy, chapter 1, verse 7, "For God has not given us the spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline." Fear traps and locks us away into our comfort zone. Yet fear often develops as a result of the lack of the following: understanding, information, resources, experience, and perspective. If you lack all of these, you will naturally lack confidence, and as a result, you will fail to take the action necessary to achieve your goals and objectives. Consequently, you will tend to make excuses about your life and circumstances in order to help boost your self-esteem. However, all you're doing is creating the illusion of security. You're simply masking the pain by taking painkillers. The pain is still there and will continue to persist until you finally overcome your fears. And point number 3, consequences for making excuses. Living a life of excuses can have very serious and lasting consequences. Not only will excuses prevent you from reaching your full potential, but they will also hold you back from recognizing opportunities, talents, and skills that you might have to help you to overcome your problems. If you don't challenge yourself to new heights, you will never really know what you're capable of. New opportunities lie hidden around every corner. However, you will never be able to find them in the riddle of your mind with constantly finding reasons to make excuses. Making excuses can also lead to the following consequences: lack of responsibility and growth, self-limiting beliefs, massive regrets, persistent pessimistic outlook on life, bad judgment, paranoia, imaginary walls constricting your comfort zone, and mental blocks stifling proactive action and creativity. These consequences certainly don't lead to a rich and satisfying life that we're designed to live. In fact, they paralyze us and prevent forward movement in all areas of our lives. To overcome your excuses, you must first admit that you are making them in the first place. Sometimes this is very difficult to do. However, it is absolutely necessary and critical if you want to eliminate the resulting consequences. So ask yourself these questions. What excuses do I tend to make? What am I settling for? Furthermore, you must identify the reasons for your excuses. And you might ask yourself this question: why am I making these excuses? Finally, write down the consequences that each of these excuses has on your life and the circumstances by asking these questions. How do these excuses prevent me from moving forward? How do they cripple my ability to get what I want? We need to learn to scale to new heights on our trek each day when we are overwhelmed and find ourselves making excuses instead of taking responsibility. As we grow in wisdom and insight, we can realize that to overcome excuses, we can rely on a power that is greater than we may have within ourselves. As King David wrote in Psalms 61 verses 1 through 3, "O God, listen to my cry, hear my prayer. For the ends of the earth I cry to you for help. When my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the towering rock of safety, for you are my safe refuge, a fortress where my enemies cannot reach me." Now that we've explored some of the core reasons that we do make excuses, join us tomorrow for another day of Wisdom Trek, Creating a Legacy. And during the next couple days, we will learn the type of excuses that we commonly make and how to eliminate those excuses from our lives forever. And that'll finish our podcast for today. Remember to listen to your daily dose of wisdom at wisdom-trek.com or iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spreaker, or YouTube. Please share Wisdom Trek with your family and friends so that they can come along with us each day. The journal for today's podcast can be found at wisdom-trek.com. I thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide, your mentor, but most importantly, your friend, as I serve you through the Wisdom Trek podcast and journal each day. And as we take this trek together, let us always live abundantly or fully, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, and leave a living legacy each day. This is Guthrie Chamberlain, reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and create a great day every day. See you tomorrow.